In the past when we've had these, we used to have these meetings more often, once a month, and then I kind of stopped for a while because I thought the weekly meetings were plenty for you. But there was a call to do these meetings, these large group meetings again, so we started them up again. We'll do these about maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And always when you go to the Zoom page, you'll see on the meeting page when the next one will be. I haven't scheduled the next one, probably be in October. And when I think about these, the topic that we'd have for these meetings, I usually draw from the going deeper section of the website. If you found that, you may be familiar with that. It kind of goes deeper than what the rest of the course goes into. A good place for graduates to take a look, or if you want to see something deeper about some of the topics. There's about 20 different topics there. But one of the topics that isn't there explicitly is anything about serving. And I thought in this day and time when so many of us are trying to figure out how to make a difference in the world, and sometimes not succeeding at that because some of us aim pretty big, trying to make a difference politically or a large group socially, and it's hard to know that we're making a difference with letters or phone calls or anything. And so I've been really thinking about this quite a lot. Is how do you know when you've made a difference? How would you even know that? Sometimes we'll do or say something that will make a difference to somebody, but you won't know it. Maybe never. You might find out years later that something you said or did made a difference. So I've been thinking about this quite a lot. And on the website, there's a piece by Rachel Naomi Remen called "In the Service of Life," in which she makes a distinction between serving and helping. And she says that helping implies a one-up relationship. You're superior to somebody else in some way. But serving, as opposed to helping, doesn't imply that we're better or higher than another person. So in that article, she says, this is what she says, when you help, she says, helping incurs debt. When you help someone, they owe you one. But serving, like healing, is mutual. It goes two ways. There's no debt. I am as served as the person I'm serving. When I help, I have a feeling of satisfaction. When I serve, I have a feeling of gratitude. And these are different things. And so lately, on a personal level, I've been taking a special pleasure out of doing some volunteering that's kind of hands-on volunteering, not writing letters or making phone calls, which I do sometimes as well, but it's hard to know if you're making a difference there. There's something in town here that's called food recovery. And there's a high-tech company locally that has 3,000 employees. They give their employees a free lunch every Friday, and they always have food left over. And I found out recently that they actually order a little bit more, knowing that we take the food that they're not able to serve, and we take it from their facility and bring it here in town to the community center. And every Friday we provide food for 100 to 150 people who wouldn't otherwise be able to have a meal that day. We just get it fresh from the caterer, and they bring containers to take it and bring it home just for them or for their family. And it feels so good to be doing this, because this is a case where I know without question that what we're doing is making a difference. And I feel similarly about Palouse Mindfulness. It's always been free. And in reading the 50 or 60 letters a month we get from new graduates, we really have no question that the course makes a difference. And it's just a wonderful feeling. Lauren and I have a friend who doesn't quite get why we're doing this. A few years ago, she says, "Are you still doing that free online course?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "How many have finished it?" And at that time, it was about 5,000. And she says, "Wow, 5,000? And you do it for free?" She started to do the arithmetic in her head. If you only charged like $20 for a certificate, I mean, who couldn't afford that? It's a valuable thing because there's a lot of work that goes into making that course happen. That would be $100,000. And my response, I don't think I actually said this out loud because it was a little bit shaming, but I may have thought it and not said it, but it was that not only is turning this into a source of income not the point, it's the exact opposite of the point. And I was struck recently by a three-line Rabindranath Tagore poem. He's the poet and writer from the early 1900s. I just discovered he was the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. It's a three-line poem, and it goes like this. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. That's the first line. I awoke and saw that life was service. That's the second line. And the last line is, I acted and behold, service was joy. I'll say that again. I slept and dreamt that life was joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy. I remember reading this poem years ago and thinking that it was nice, kind of like my friend that didn't get it. But now I think I do get the point. Maybe because I'm retired now and have the luxury of discovering this truth. There's something else I looked up because I remember Carl Menninger saying something about serving in this way. He's a psychiatrist who's sometimes called the father of psychiatry. He's from the mid 1900s. I'm showing my age again. Who founded the Menninger Clinic. I also looked up, it had nothing to do with meningitis, which I think is good. It's another, someone else. But he said the best cure for depression was for the depressed person to find someone else who's in trouble and help them. The full reference is a reference to a public lecture that he gave, and it goes like this: is while speaking at a public lecture, Carl Menninger, who was then known as the Dean of American Psychiatry, was asked, what would you advise someone to do if they felt a nervous breakdown coming on? And he didn't recommend therapy or medication. He said, he's a psychiatrist, and psychiatrists do medication. He says, I would tell them to lock up their house, go across the railroad tracks, find someone in need, and do something for that person. I was just really struck by that. Now, you can find this quote and others. I've put these references in a document you can get to, and I'll put it up on the chat so you can find it. There it is. That's where you can find that. We'll now go into a meditation. And so you can just make yourself comfortable, however you do that. You don't need to change your position drastically, just so long as you're comfortable. And take a moment to sense where you are. Feeling your feet on the floor, or on the cushion or the couch, however you're sitting. Feeling the weight of your body on what's supporting you right now. Your connection with the ground. You are actually connected to the ground right now, even though it's through your chair and through the floor, but the earth is below and you're connected to the earth and everything that's below it. And noticing how your arms are resting in your lap or on your side. And when you're ready, seeing if you can find where your breath is most vivid for you. It could be your belly, it could be your chest, or feeling the movement of the air through your nostrils. You're sensing into the breath physically. There's actual physical sensations associated with your breathing. And we say that we are breathing, but in a way we're being breathed because we're not conscious of breathing most of the time. And even now, when you're aware of your breathing, see if you can just be an observer of your breath, not a controller. It's kind of hard to do it at first because it seems like we should be controlling our breath when we pay attention to it. But seeing if you can be with it maybe the same way you'd be with waves at the seashore if you're sitting on the beach watching the waves. You wouldn't try to make the waves come in any differently, making them bigger or smaller or shorter or longer. You would just notice how one wave comes after another at its own pace and at its own way. And seeing if you can be with the entire cycle of breath. It's not just breathe in and breathe out. It's breathing in, breathing in, breathing in, and then there's a pause and a turning around. And just let that happen as it does. And if your mind goes somewhere else, that's perfectly fine. That's actually part of the meditation. We think of them as not part of the meditation because it seems to be supposed to be about one thing, but it is about one thing. It's about what you're being aware of. And if you're aware of having your thoughts go somewhere else, that's fine. And when you do, just gently but firmly coming back to breathing. There's nothing to do, nowhere to go. It's just you and your breath. And the side trips you take are just fine. There's a side trip and coming back to breath. When you're ready, you might recall a time when you were there for someone, when someone was in need, and whether by intention or circumstance, you were there for them. You said something or did something that made a difference for them. Recalling a time or a place where that might have happened. It could be a spouse or a friend or a coworker or a child or a friend. And it just so happened that you were there at a time of need for them and you were of some help to them. And recalling that, remembering where you were, who you were with, if it was with other people, or maybe you were just with that person in a phone call, how it felt then to know that you could react in such a way and respond in such a way, noticing what their response was to you. Noticing how it feels now to recall this, to be remembering this time. Or you might remember a time when someone was there for you, when you were going through a difficult time and there was something that was troublesome, and someone was there for you, either with a phone call or a gesture or a word or something they did for you, something they said to you that made a difference for you or someone you love. Could be someone who did something very kind and generous and helpful for somebody you care about. And how did it feel then to have someone who got you, who was there for you, or for someone you love, who did this not because they had to, but just because they cared about you? And noticing how it feels now to recall this, that someone could do something for you so freely, so generously, maybe unexpectedly. The next 6 or 7 minutes will be in silence, and you can continue with this theme, or you can have it be a breath meditation, or however you like to be with yourself for the next few minutes. And always, in all of our meditations, we remember that wherever the mind goes, if you come back to thinking about this topic or coming back to breath, you do that with firmness, but with gentleness, being kind to yourself. And we'll come back in about 6 or 7 minutes. Now, as the meditation comes to a close, is taking a few breaths. We'll take a few breaths together. And if your eyes have been closed, letting them come open again. Okay, I think we're all back now. Welcome back. I hope you had a good meeting with your small groups. It's interesting, the small groups often you think you don't want to be in a small group and and you really want to do a small group or not, but once you're there, it usually turns into a kind of a nice experience to meet somebody from another part of the world. So this time we have left about 20 minutes. It's time that we have for sharing or questions and answers. Lauren's going to be monitoring the participant list to see if there's a hand that's raised. If you can do that electronically, that would be helpful for her. And then she will bring you up so that you can speak and not unmute you. So if you'd like to share anything or have any kind of question you'd like to ask, or something to share with the group, just raise your hand. We'll give you a minute to do that.
Okay, Dale, can you unmute?
Hi, everyone. I am coming to you from Jamaica. I wanted to thank you, Dave, for this program. It has brought a beautiful light into my life, and I'm very
Nice.
grateful. This is only my second large group. I graduated in March of this year, and this is my second large group meeting, and it was beautiful. I was in the group with Susie, who just shared.
Uh-huh.
We had a great time. I want to say that for 20 plus years, I struggled with chronic pain, depression. I've been on medication for many years. I've had surgery, and my mindfulness practice has transformed my life. I've taken up yoga, um, and because of yoga, but for many years I didn't like moving because I was in so much pain, stiffness, and
Yeah.
all that. And now I do yoga 3 times a week because of Palouse, and the pain in my body has decreased, and
Wow.
my energy has increased,
Wonderful.
and I mentally and emotionally I am in a different place, a place of peace and calm. And I wanted to thank you, Dave, and every single host. I go to meetings on Mondays, sometimes Tuesday, alternate between Monday and Tuesday, and I go on Thursday almost every week because that was the first group I went to, and I love it with Elena. And so I just wanted to share that you are doing a fantastic work, and thank you. I see Dave. Yes, I go to Dave's group. So I just want to thank all of you and to know that you are all very, 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 very much appreciated.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Dale. And I'm glad that the course and the work has been helpful and and even though the pain I hear from what you're saying, the pain is not gone entirely, but how you're dealing with it sounds like it's much different now. Yeah. Thanks for
Thank you,
sharing that.
Dale. Aida?
Hello.
Hi.
I'm very grateful. This is my first time in any large group session. And Dave, I am very grateful to the program. I'll say more when I finally complete my paperwork for the completing the class. But I also really enjoyed the breakout. Um, I enjoyed getting to meet my roommates and the sharing there. I liked that it was centered around the theme, but I also really appreciated the affirmations about why mindfulness, how we practice, and why mindfulness is so important to us. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and Ida, what you was in your small group, what was it? What was interesting or useful about sharing about practice?
Oh, people had such a variety, and people did joined the practice for so many different reasons.
Yeah.
And I think that was very helpful, learning all the different ways that we can practice and all the different reasons that mindfulness is helping us.
Yeah, thanks. Well, thanks for that. That's good to hear.
Thank you, Aida. David?
Hi, David.
Hi, Dave. Hi, thank you. Yeah, something that really kind of I learned was, and it's kind of pretty profound to me. If I lose connection, or anyone else that I know says that they cannot find connection with their higher power,
Mm.
and this is shared by Jamie, and she said, "Your love is your higher power,"
Oh,
and
nice.
I'm like, "Wow, yes."
Isn't that nice? I
That is
love that.
so
Yeah.
true and so powerful and so impacting that I'm going to write that down.
Well, I might write that down myself. I love that.
Yes,
That
yes.
love is your higher power. So it's not some being over you that's making decisions. It's your love. Your love is the
It's the
higher
very
power.
essence of who you are, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is so beautiful.
And
Thank
and there's that universal oneness, that connection, that
you.
through that light of love, that your source is your power. Yeah, call it whatever you like. You try to put the name onto it and you lose the essence of what it is. But I think,
Exactly.
yeah, it's pretty, yeah, I can relate to that. And I think I can share that with other people and it's going to help them too. So
Well, you
I'm
have
really
done
excited by that.
you have done exactly that. So thank you so much, David. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, David. Well, I thought I stopped. There you go. Jamie.
Hey, Jamie. Good to see you.
Got to unmute, Jamie.
Okay, there we go. I
There
did,
you
and
are.
it wouldn't do it. Okay.
All right.
Lauren, you stole my thunder, Lauren. Of course. I just want to say, Lauren, so this is exactly to what Eric said and to what, well, first I want to tell you the story that what happened when said that in the situation where I said that love is your higher power was I was in a drug treatment program. I'm not an addict, but I had a brain infection. I couldn't speak. I couldn't communicate. And my basically, I was in the hospital. They couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. 6 weeks later, I got a call saying you have a brain infection from CDC.
Wow.
Is it treated? So that's a long story, but I couldn't communicate very well. I was really sick. And this guy was going to drop out. He was addicted to pain medicine, and it was his last chance. He said he couldn't have his family. He wouldn't be a father. He was going to get divorced. He couldn't do any of the things because of his addiction. And I found him crying in a corner, and he said, I'm an atheist. I can't do this.
Wow.
I can't. And I asked him, I really don't know where those words came from. It wasn't like premeditated. I just said, do you love your children? He said, yes, I would give my life for my children.
Wow.
And I said, that's your higher powers, your love.
Wow.
And so that's how it happened. Was I knew it was his higher power, and I don't know where it came from, but in that program, though I'm not an addict, I had to learn it was really the beginning of true mindfulness, because I had to learn to accept what I could not control, because I couldn't control anything about what was happening to me. So thank you so much. I hope that makes sense. Thanks.
Made perfect sense. And I love that you can have a beginner's mind and have the learnings. What could be better than that? Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie. Good to see you. Sarah?
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Farah. Is it Farah or Farah?
It's Farah.
Farah.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you so much. It was just I just wanted to hide my there we go. Okay. Wow, thank you so much. This is my first time on this big group, which is just wonderful. Thank you so much, Dave. Um, oh, this is just yeah, incredibly life-changing. I echo what everyone else has said, and was so touched by just those last words of like the love inside you, that light is your higher power. I just wanted to share something that was just so inspiring that came up from the wonderful group that I was a part of. And it was about our relationship with being a helper or a problem solver. A lot of us are in healthcare or some sort of
Yeah.
helping profession, and how that role can get sort of really tied up in our sense of identity, or our sense of sort of self-worth. And that's where those sort of parts of us that can, sort of lead us to feel like we're losing something if we haven't helped or we didn't solve the problem or fix,
Yeah.
or feel good about ourselves, like, oh, I did a good job, I'm a helper, I'm a fixer. And so I was just sharing about how this mindfulness practice, this community, has just allowed me to release all of those sort of relational elements, and connect to something deeper, connect to a deeper meaning, a deeper connection, a deeper relationship, that someone in our wonderful group named as sort of kindness.
Mm.
Just like a pure kindness for ourselves and each other, and how kindness actually comes with the wisdom of attunement in service. And that's this element of sort of being really present to sort of sense what we or another might actually need. And sometimes part of kindness, as came up in our group, is sort of being so present that you can recognize that someone might not be ready to receive care or help, or and that kindness comes with that wisdom of attunement, of presence, which is really like the essence of these practices. So yeah, I was just so inspired by our group conversation, and so grateful for this community. Thank you so much, Dave, and for everyone here today. It's just
You're welcome,
invigorating.
Lauren. I love how you say that it's paying attention not just to as a caregiver, your focus is so much on the other, right? It's what can you do for the other? What can you do for them? And sometimes we forget ourselves.
Mhm.
Forget that we're deserving of, we get a little choked up. We're deserving of care too.
Yeah,
And if we can't take care of ourselves, we're not going to be of care to other people.
yeah, so true. The ultimate truth. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
that. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you, Farah.
And
Thanks,
by the way,
Brian.
we're recording everything, including and this time we're also including the question and answer. Some of these things would be beautiful to share with other people. If you were part of the question and answer or the sharing and you would rather not have that shared with anybody else, just let me know by email through team@palouse.mindfulness.com. And I always edit them a little bit anyway. So I'll make sure to take your section out if you'd rather not share that. Otherwise, the sharing will be included. So be sure to let me know if that would be your preference, and it's fine if that's the case. So Lauren, next.
Tanya?
Hi, Tanya.
Hi, Dave. I'm absolutely thrilled to meet you. It's like the biggest highlight of my Sabbath. I'm so thrilled. I told my group, my breakout room, that I told my husband after we have the separation to the Sabbath, I'm locking my door and the kids are coming in, but
Ah,
I'm thrilled to meet you. I want to thank you for a couple of things. I write notes, it helps me focus. First of all, the closed caption, thank you. I lost hearing around the pandemic time I got
ah,
quite ill, and that helps a lot
oh, good.
because I have hearing aids, so I thank you for that. And the timing thing that you put in, because I'm not so great at math and computers, someone help me figure out how to raise my hand on this. the way that you did that I could figure out the time, I appreciate you for that, for the closed caption, the connection that I feel. I went on a group on Tuesday. Unfortunately, I could only go once, but I feel that's my group. I felt such a connection with the group because of you. The breakout room, Glenn, Andrea, Nadine, who I met once at a different Zoom. I'm only on week 3, and I'm getting so much out of it that one of my kids, she said, Ema, mom, whatever, she said, can you come sit with me and do your meditation with me? So my
Oh, nice.
being calm, thank you, it helped her. I was doing this for my students and myself. You are a rock star. Thank you. I mean, thank you so much to you. Like, there's a Hebrew expression, Hakar Satov, which means like a heartfelt gratitude beyond depth. And
Mhm.
that is what I feel to you for this gift. I appreciate you.
Well, that's beautiful, Tanya. Thank you so much. And you are a rock star to your kids. You know, I had my granddaughter who's 3.5, when we were there, she knows I meditate, and she says, I want to meditate with Papa Dave. So she came and sat, and I was guiding her, and she was sitting perfectly still, and she says, Papa, shut up. Papa, shut up. She was there. She didn't need me to be talking, but she just wanted to be there meditating with me. And she was so beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. And
Thank you, Tanya. Irene can unmute.
Hi, Dave. I'm Irene, and today is my first big meeting here. I would like to express my gratitude for this Palouse Mindfulness. It really kind of like helped me kind of like going through kind of like emotional turbulence that I have in the last few months. I really enjoy, I think I would kind of like adding up what the others already mentions, talking about the taking care of others. What I felt through this Palouse mindfulness, and also I think that's what I shared with my groups, and also what other people in my groups share. This kind of like mindfulness give us kind of like the pot to take care of ourselves, to really listen what we need, and to be brave, kind of like to face kind of like hard things that maybe happens to us. And for
yeah,
that, I would say thank you.
well, Irene, you're welcome. And I love that you say that it's learning to be kind to yourself. You know, I think that's really at the heart of this practice. You know, because if you can't be kind to yourself, it's hard to be kind to anybody else. And we often put ourselves last, because it seems selfish to put ourselves first. But if we're first in a kind way, that really allows us to be with other people. So that's such a beautiful sentiment. Thank you.
Thank you, Irene. Sarah. Sarah?
Yeah, okay. Dave, thank you.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Dave. Good to see you. First of all, I noticed in the email you said that the groups use the word magical, and this was my experience today. I actually went to an exercise class and left a half hour early because I wanted to be on this. And then I noticed that I was the only woman in the group with 3 men. And my first thought was, I need to get out. And then I reassured myself, like, it's okay, let's just kind of see how it goes. And I'm glad I stayed. We had somebody from Ireland, somebody from Saudi Arabia, and 2 of us were from the States. And somebody talked about forgiveness, and coming back to yourself. And I go to the 5 a.m. California time, 8 a.m. Georgia time on Wednesday, because Maura does such a good job. And I have found it very, very helpful. It has helped me with emotional regulation.
Yeah, great.
So, yeah, it was good to be back.
It was good to have you back, and good to see you.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad you survived your encounter with 3 men.
Instead of 3 men and a baby, 3 men and a woman.
Yeah, how
Like
nice.
Three's
Yeah,
Company. Yeah, thank you.
thanks, Sarah.
Okay, Melissa, you're next.
Okay, hi.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Dave. I want to thank you so much And I love listening, looking at your face and listening to your voice since I meditate almost every day to your voice. So it's kind of nice. I want to thank you and your team because I started doing, I finished the course in 2020 and I had depression, I had anxiety, I had a lot of body pain because I had lupus. And after the course, my pain went away because of the section that you have of dealing with physical pain. That literally it changed
Wow.
everything. So yes, I want to thanks for that. And these meetings are amazing. I almost can never be on it, but they're great. So thank you very much.
And Melissa, where are you from? Where are you calling from?
I am from the Dominican Republic.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's good to have you here. And it's wonderful to hear occasionally this practice it does happen sometimes that pain goes away, but that's not the typical experience. It's more of experience of learning how to deal with what is there. But it's wonderful when that happens, you know.
Yeah, but for me, it
Yeah,
went.
take it. Yeah, you should take it and enjoy it. Thanks, Melissa.
There you go.
Hi, Anjali.
I just wanted to say thank you. I recently flew back into the US where I'm from, but I was abroad to do caretaking, which I've done at various points in my life, but I visibly noticed a difference in just having had this practice with me. I mean, I'm still making my way, not consecutively through the program, but or slowly through the program over more than 6 weeks, but I just can feel the difference in how I'm approaching it. So thank you for that. It
Yeah, you're
really
welcome.
saved
And
me.
Anjali, if you don't mind, since we're now kind of after time, so a little bit more leeway in terms of time, I'm curious in what ways the practice has made a difference for you.
I think so. For me, it was, I've stopped my life in various times to come back and do caretaking for a family member, and I think there was just a lot more ease in myself in this time rather than the anxiety of like
Yeah.
how it's going to turn out, but just more just like okay, this is what I'm doing and it's okay and it doesn't have to go perfectly and I might not fix it, but this is also the decision and that I'm making and it's okay. It doesn't have to come with as much anxiety, and that also made me be able to approach the situation, my family, with a little bit less of my own anxiety that, you know, doesn't, allows me to move through it as well as like help a family member move through it too.
Yeah, that is so perfect. I mean, sometimes we get, especially if we're in a helping profession, we get caught up in, I have to fix this. It has to be useful to people, and that's where our energy should be there, that we want to be helpful to people. But if there's so much on that, we're actually less helpful for them, because there's so much pressure. And then they feel like they've got to get better to satisfy you because they see that you're wanting things to change a bit. And sometimes just being with them is what's most important, without the focus on being the fix for them. What they need more than anything else is our company.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing that it helped with was just, I think there is so much always more pinned to, okay, I'm doing this again. What's going to happen next? And am I stopping some of the anger and frustration with stopping things for myself, but just saying, okay, this is what the situation is, and I'll deal with what's next. But for now, this is the decision I've made, and it's okay. Whatever comes next, I'll be able to handle too.
Yeah. And have it not just be the words that you're saying to yourself, but that's the truth for you.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. Beautiful.
Yeah. So thank you for that. It did save me.
Thanks, Anjali.
That brings back what somebody said earlier about coming from a place of love.
Yeah.
So that's your power.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
All
so
right.
much.
Thanks. And is it Anjali?
It's Anjali. Yes, you
Anjali.
got it, Anjali. Most
Okay.
people don't,
All right.
so I appreciate it.
All right. Apologies for mispronouncing it before.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Eric, you can unmute.
Hi, Eric. You're muted still.
I have now unmuted.
You are
Dave,
now
I'm
unmuted.
curious as to your take on the relationship between mindfulness and emotional intelligence.
Well, that's a big question. Um, because different people have a different idea about what mindfulness is and what emotional intelligence is. I'm not sure my answer is it will make sense to everybody. Um, but I think mindfulness is about emotional intelligence. It's about, in the sense that in emotional intelligence, you're aware of and responding to your own emotions. So you're in touch with them, but not at the mercy of them. Uh, and both have to be true. I mean, you can't be emotionally intelligent if you don't know what your emotions are and have a sense of them. Nor is it intelligent to be at the whim of your emotions, where you get so caught up in them that you can't function in the world. So it's finding that ground in between, and I think that might be maybe that's a touch point between mindfulness and emotional intelligence. It's both having some distance, at the same time intimacy with your own feelings, and that's the art.
In the Goldman framework, it's self-awareness, it's situational awareness,
Mhm.
it's motivation, it's
Yeah,
relationship building, and all of those seem to me to be very, very aligned with mindfulness. Again,
yeah,
the whole presence thing, taking
yeah.
it the ability to step back and truly understand being self-aware, as well as the impact that we have with others around us, being able to read the room, those kinds of things.
Right, and the
Present
stepping.
with us. In fact, Goldman, and I forget Richard, I have the book here somewhere. They talk about trait, mindfulness traits.
Oh yeah, Richie Davidson.
Richard David, yeah, that's the one. Altered traits is what it is.
Right, yeah, it's a great book.
And in that kind of interrelationship, I was curious if you see that as well.
Absolutely, yeah, and the art of it is to it's having distance from your emotions, but not so much. It's paradoxical. You get too much distance from your emotions, you're out of touch with your own being, and you get too engulfed by them, you're at the mercy of them and not aware of to be function well in the world. It's finding that balance. And Altered Traits is really a wonderful book written by two people who really. So you got the two greats or two of the greats in the field. One of emotional intelligence, and Richard Davidson has studied mindfulness. That's his life and his career.
One of the things I really appreciate about this group is, and the whole sense of community, is that one of our primitive emotions, and emotions are natural things, right? Is the
Yeah.
whole fight, flight, or freeze. But the other element to that is a survival instinct that often doesn't surface as strongly, but it's almost the complement, which is the thriving that we get from community.
Hmm. Yeah.
Our need for community and the reinforcement of a healthy community is as much a survival instinct as is the fight, flight, or freeze stuff.
Absolutely. And I think I agree with you so much. Tara Brach says there's fight, flight, and there's tend, befriend. Both are both are key to our survival. It's not just saving our skin, but it's also community. And sometimes we forget that. So I, I'm glad you brought that up, that there's tend and befriend, not just fight and flight.
Indeed. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you,
Uh,
Eric.
Eric, I just put something in the chat. It seems to me that mindfulness is a pathway to emotional
Ah,
intelligence.
yeah,
It can lead you there.
yeah, I like it.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Nicole, unmute, please.
Hi. I really appreciated the subject of this meeting with the dynamic of helping versus serving. I am in the helping profession. I'm a counselor. And for me, it is a very interesting dynamic to be a therapist when somebody comes to you for help. And I I always tell my clients that I am not the expert here, that they are the expert on their lives. And the more they can teach me, the more I can help and help guide them. And that often takes people aback a little bit. They don't expect that. And I was interested in, so for me, helping is different than serving. Serving for me growing up was always a religious thing, which was really
Uh-huh.
equivalent to helping. And so the dynamic was still there,
Yeah.
that you were talking about with helping. And I'm interested in your, in how you would apply this dynamic of helping versus serving, in like a counseling dynamic.
Yeah, and serving is kind of a loaded word. It's tricky to what would be the best word to describe uh, what we're calling serving. So say, Nicole, say a little bit more about what help I can be in terms of the relationship of helping versus serving with it. Well, actually, now
Mhm.
so there are times when I was a practicing therapist for years, not for 20, 30 years. I came late in the career. I practiced for about 12 years.
Me
And
too. I just started almost 2 years ago.
well, congratulations. Yeah. And that's a kind of a tricky dynamic because you want to be of help to people. That's your role in being with someone is you would be of, and again, what word do you use? Um, and there are times when you don't know what to do. You
Yeah.
really don't know what to do. And
Yeah.
there was a time early in my time as a therapist where I I was once again, and as a therapist, you, you're not you're not immune from this happening. In fact, it happens pretty often where you're sitting there not knowing what to do. What can I do that's going to be of service to this person? Um, and there's one point where I thought I would share that with I said, I'll just be an open book. I'm going to share this with my client. And I said, I
Hmm.
don't have any idea of what I'm doing, and I don't know where we're going or how we're going to get out of this or how we're going to make this useful. And all that did was make her join my panic. So I said, that's not a good idea. But what did happen shortly after that was when I'm in that place of not knowing what to do that could be of service to the person I'm with, where I was, this mode of cycling through all the things you could be doing, could do this, could do that. Would this be helpful? Would that be helpful? Nothing seems to be the right thing or it's not working. And as long as you stay in that mode, you are of no service at all because you're just caught up in your own cogitation about what to
Hmm.
do next. Um,
Yes.
and there was one point, I don't know what brought me to this conclusion or my ability to do this, where I caught myself in that loop and I just stopped. And I said, I'm in this loop because I care about this person. That's the thing to recognize. And what I don't know what to do. I'm not going to share that out loud. That would be frightening to them if I were to say it like that. But what I can do is be there for them emotionally in the sense that as I sat there, not knowing what to do, but not caught up in the cycle of what do I do next, I could just wish for them that things would be peaceful for them if that was their issue, or wish for them that they would have love in their lives, or wish for them that things would be smoother for them, wish that things wish them well. So that's what I can do. I can do that. And so when I was able to find that place, I would stop and it would just be a loving kindness meditation that I would do silently with them. They might be rambling on about something and I would not know what to do. And I don't think there was an exception to this, but I'm remembering that if it wasn't every time, it was nearly every time when I found that place of just being with them without an agenda. My agenda as a helper
Hmm.
is to help them have the fix, but just be with them, something would shift. They would say something that shifted their experience, or something would
Yes.
come out of my mouth that I hadn't planned and I never would have come to had I not created that space that transformed things. Um,
Yes.
so it's that paradox of stepping back and not trying to be in the helping mode that can allow you to be of service to somebody, because what they really want and need is your company.
Yes. I had in my internship, I had one of my teachers in the internship would tell me, when you feel helpless, help less. And that really puzzled me for a long time. And as you're talking, I'm just realizing that what I have done is not trying to solve. I've tried to listen, maybe ask questions to clarify, to get to an answer of what would be helpful. And often I'll find in a therapy session that we'll talk about several different ideas, and I'll present it as like, well, I wonder if this might help. And we'll talk about it. And then it might be something else occurs to me. I wonder what this would do. Or I might offer some sort of education about, maybe what's happening with their nervous system, or the way their brain is working, or, relational dynamics. And then I will often say to them, we've talked about a lot of things. What is going to be most helpful to you?
Yeah.
And so I think what's come to me as the answer to my question is the listening and validating is actually the service. That's what they need.
Yeah.
And that doesn't create a dynamic of me over you. It's me with you.
It's you with them. Years ago, when I was in practice, I had a colleague who was also a therapist who asked if I could, if I would work with her a little bit, and we did. And she says, I've had experiences with another therapist. I've been working with other therapists before, and when it works well, it always felt like they were, they were with me in this. They were with me, and beside me. She says, but with you, it felt like you're not just with me and beside me, but you're kind of looking through my own eyes, seeing things. You're experiencing things with me, and not calculating what to do next. And I think that's the most valuable thing we can give our client. I had a couple of mentors when I was working with a little bit of training in trauma therapy, how to deal with somebody that's had severe trauma. And they said, your clients, when it's working well, they're borrowing your nervous system. They see and experience that you are experiencing, you are feeling what they're feeling, and it doesn't tear you apart.
Yes.
You can be with them in that distress, and not apart from it, but not be subsumed by it. And just by them,
like a parent co-regulates a baby or a child.
yes,
Exactly.
exactly,
Oh,
exactly,
yes.
yeah,
Yes, I see it.
yeah. And I just thought that's so beautiful. Well, thanks so much for bringing that up. That's such a nice reminder of what our role really is.
Yeah. Thank you for that clarification. And thank you for doing this. This is the first large meeting I've been to. Actually, the first meeting I've been to. I've been trying to I started completing this course, started it January of last year, kind of fell out about the time we got to the movement chapters, because that's something that I resist for some dumb reason, and got caught up in life. But I have found mindfulness is a string that runs through everything I do. And just a little bit that I did made everything click more. It helps me sleep better. So I've kind of continued with it on my own, but I've realized that for my own self-care, I really need to get back to it. So this meeting was very timely for me. And I really appreciated the international component. I had two members of my group that were from other countries, and I was able to ask them, so, this is the culture in America. We often don't ask for help. And I said, what's the culture where you're from? And it was really a way to connect. And I really appreciated that, getting out of my little US bubble.
Yeah, that's one of the magical things about these meetings is you have a chance to connect with people from literally the other side of the world.
Yes. And the way you did the goodbye, oh, that brought tears to my eyes, and that's rare. So thank you for that. That's a beautiful tradition. I love that.
Yeah, thanks, Nicole.
Thanks, Nicole. I put something in the chat that I think maybe encapsulates this discussion. I think trying to fix someone is a trap. even for a therapist, and that people want to love and understanding and connection. And Jamie wrote back, just said, and a hug. As a therapist, you can't always do that, but the love and understanding you can give, even if you can't fix them.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren.
Thanks, Nicole. Well, Sasha has hand up, but I can't spotlight Sasha because I have no video. But Sasha, oh, there you are.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
I can spotlight you. There you go.
All right, Sasha. Have to unmute.
Thank you. Thank you for everything today. It was perfect. It was really on time. And what I want to share is about trying to solve others' problem or fixing them. I've learned that from experience because I'm the one that if I ask for help, I want a solution. I'm not ask for anyone's emotional support. I'm raised in this way, and I can say that I lived my life on survival mode for a long period, so I neglect that needing of emotional support. I'm just, if I ask help, I want that someone save me because I'm in a really, really bad trouble. So because of that, I was not, for sure, I've heard that saying that everyone says that, oh, people needs to be treated in a way that they want to, not in a way that you want to. But it was just a motto on my brain. Everyone that someone asked me for help, I was just going to the practical solution, not sitting with them, not emotionally be there. I was like, oh, you have this problem. This is the solution. You have, just get up, just get up. If you are not like pleased with the way that everything is going, just move on, do something, get to the work. And I was somehow helpful to others because I always had a solution. And if they could gather everything together and do the things that I was suggesting, they would maybe be able to change the situation. And I was helpful, but I was not there emotionally for them because I didn't learn that in my life until the moment that someone, a totally stranger, put a note on Twitter, and it was a suicidal note. And I hope that doesn't disturb anyone because that gentleman is today alive. So don't take that sadness, please. But and I didn't know him, but he wrote some of his emotion, some of his experience, horrible things that happened to him as a child, and he said that enough is enough, and I couldn't do anything for him, anything. But I felt that I should do something. As a stranger that never talked to him, never know him, it just popped up on my timeline. I wrote a big message to him, and I started like, I don't even know that you would read it, but I have to tell you that. And that was the very first time that instead of solution, I just went all the emotion that I could feel in my heart for another human being. After 48 hours, he wrote me back and said that he said that he received a lot of calls from friends that he had. He rejected those calls. He received a lot of messages from people that he knew, and he didn't answer and he didn't change his mind. But the only message that he read and told himself that maybe I can give this world another chance was my.
Wow.
I said that I want to give it another try. It was 3 years ago. We are still talking. We never saw each other. We never talked in voice. We are still sending message to each other. He found a job. He changed a lot of things in his life. He lost weight. He kept on doing so much better. And I've learned that being emotionally for someone matters. And I've learned from that experience that how many times I needed that, but I'm not aware of that. I thought that if I am asking for help, it should absolutely be for a solution. And if there is no solution, why should I bother people to ask help? I'm always telling him that he helped me a lot, and he's laughing how? And I'm like, oh, you don't know, I was like a robot. I was not sharing, and I am still bad for sharing. And when I have a problem, I'm still thinking if there isn't any solution or not. So if not, I'm not really willing to share. But I'm telling myself, look, there was no solution there, but love you gave, and maybe you can go and seek it. Seek love, let be loved, and who knows, maybe tomorrow is a better day.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's such a beautiful story. It's an amazing story. And wow. Thanks so much for sharing that. Uh, and it's important to know, to realize that even before you discovered that what they really need to know is that you've connected with it, that you're feeling with them, is that feeling in you, that drive to help, is coming from the same place. So there's a tendency, once we discover some valuable life lesson like this one, that you go back and validate all the ways you were before. But it's important to recognize that the place that it comes from now is really the same place. You just have a different way of expressing it now.
Yeah, for sure. I was always caring that the reason always putting myself on finding a solution was because the pain of the others, and I needed that pain goes away ASAP because I care about them. But I wasn't aware that just listening and giving love without finding a solution would be helpful.
Yeah. And in a way, that's actually more helpful in a strange sort of way. Because if you have, even if it's the right solution, it's something that you came up with, not them. And in a way, it reinforces the message that they couldn't do it on their own. It had to be somebody that would help them with that. It doesn't mean we should never ever suggest things to people, but what they really need to know is that we're there for them and with them. Thanks.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Sasha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sasha. Cecilia?
Hey, Cecilia.
Thank you, Sasha. I'm glad you shared because I always remember your shares. They're very helpful.
Thank you.
So yeah, I don't know if I necessarily have a question for you, Dave, but I just wanted to share a little bit about what I shared in my small group. And I've always thought of service as just completely opening your heart and just not having any expectations for getting anything back, just total unconditional service of love. And I've always seen it more as like being a channel of that, where it's like you kind of step it, like I guess the ego self kind of steps aside and you just kind of let that love flow through. That's how I've always thought of it. But I really found your conversation with Nicole really helpful, because it's also about holding space too. And so thank you for that. Even though you're talking about a counseling session, I actually find it helpful. I found it helpful just if you're talking to a friend or even relating it to, this being a host of the session, like how can I bring that in? And I also found it really helpful what Farah said about how kindness has that attunement to service. I think something of that sort. and I would probably replace for me, I kind of like Jamie, love. I've always thought of love as um, who we are, and uh, that's all there is. Like, so I guess I've never articulated that love is my higher power, but I've always, I guess, had that. And so I'd probably say that love is has that wisdom and that attunement to, I think, what is needed in the moment. Um, and I also shared with my group that when I was thinking about giving the example of service, honestly, I think guiding the Palouse group is for me like the ultimate service. Um, but I enjoy it so much that it does seem selfish as well because it's literally my happiest hour of my week. And I started going back to school again. And, it's been really tough working and going to school. And I prioritized that I would still guide that meeting. And I don't see that ever changing because it's that important. And I was just thinking about how most of my life I felt kind of like an outsider, even when like I would be part of some sort of group, I never felt like I really belonged, It was interesting. And I was just thinking today that not only do I feel like I belong in this community, um, I feel like it is, I think, one of the most solid things that I have in my life that I can lean on. I don't see it changing. People might come and go, but I don't see it changing as being a place where I can come to receive and to serve. And I just wanted to thank you for that. And the other thing is that there's no sense of specialness. Like sometimes when you join a group, you feel like you're more special than other people or other groups. And I feel like I belong, but at the same time, I feel like this group is open to everyone and that nobody is above another person. And I've also been part of groups where there was a distinct leader that they were I guess, where we got our information, or what they said was more important than what anybody else said. And I just love that, for example, today, I learned so much, not just from you, but from everybody who shared and from people that commented. And I'm like cutting and pasting little quotes. People are sharing, like, oh, I got to use that. So um, it's just, it's such a beautiful thing. And I was also sharing in my group that just recently I've had a family member who's not able to take care of themselves and how it's been really, really heavy on our family. And I've been noticing it's been harder for me to practice. I'm more distracted. I feel like this heavy burden. And so my 30 minutes are now 10 minutes. Um, but I also said that if it wasn't for being part of this community, I don't think I would actually be practicing right now because I have encouragement. I go to other groups um, and my group, and I have some friendships that I've developed. And so it's just like, it's just there for me whenever I need. I just slip into a group if I need it. And it's also, even when I'm, alone, it's almost like I still feel the support to do my practice. And so, yeah, I don't know because of the heaviness of what's going on with my family member and the worry I have for her. I don't know actually if I'd be able to practice. I would be continue with my practice without this community. So, um, thank you.
And Cecilia, we're grateful for you, those of us at Palouse Mindfulness, for what you bring, because each of the people who we try not to use the word lead the Zoom groups because it is, like you say, it's not a leader who's one up, but what you do provide, and I know you this personally about you, is you provide a safe place for your participants who are in the group, and it's a place where it's one of you being with them at the same level and them with you. And that's so special. And I'm just very grateful that we have such people with such big hearts and such gifted ways of being with people that can be with us in this journey, because it's come along. It's no longer me doing everything, and now I can just sit back and watch the participation that happens just as a result of the big hearts that are there and the skillful presence that each of you bring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And your dedication means so much. And I think we're right there with you, and I hope that this Palouse never ends. It just keeps on going, keeps on helping people. And
Yeah.
I hope I keep being a part of it. And yeah, I know I forget to use the word facilitate, because that's really, I think, a little bit more appropriate. Facilitator.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's who you are as a person that allows that to happen. That allows the people to feel comfortable. It's there's a certain amount of engineering that can happen, things you can do that can make it more safe or less safe. But it's something that in most cases that people who are attracted to do this already have that quality of being a safe place for other people. And we're just grateful to have such a group of people that are working with us.
Thank you so much, Dave. And I just want to recognize that I think the last time I talked to you, I was in tears because it was right when I just started to facilitate, and I was so concerned that I wanted to do it perfect. I wanted to be so good at that. It was like I was in anguish. I was crying to you, I think, and you gave me like some wonderful advice. And it's been over 2 years now, and I just realized that I'm so much more, I've kind of grown into it. I'm so much more confident, but at the same time, I'm still really imperfect at it. And it was so
Well,
funny
something, I
because
think there's some of us, many of us come into this with a bit of imposter syndrome, like someone else can do this better than I can do this. And to some degree, that's actually helpful. There's a sense of humility, a sense of evening out that happened when you recognize that you may not have all the answers. It allows you to be with people in a different way than would be if you did think you had the answers. So I think that's actually a healthy thing.
there's that openness there.
Yeah,
And just one last quick comment is that last night, the session, the topic, it was loving imperfect things.
Mm.
And the question was about share, is there someone that you love because of their imperfections? Or do you feel more connected to them because of their imperfections?
Nice.
And a longtime participant said, picked me, because he said, look at all the times, like, I was just doing some of the technical stuff and kind of struggling with it, and, making mistakes here and there and not remembering, words. And he said, look at all, the imperfect things you've done, but we still love you. And it was such a validation that it was kind of full circle of what you told me, was just be yourself. You're not going to be another Dave Potter. You're just going to be you. And yeah, it may not be perfect, but as long as you said, you're open and to hold that space, that
And you didn't crash and
enough.
burn as a result.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Cecilia. Good to see you. I wanted to let people leave who need to leave now. And so the way that we usually do this is if you take your screen, I'm going to do that on mine as well, and open it up to gallery view so you can see everybody. And the way we say goodbye is you're all muted right now, but as you say goodbye, you can unmute and say goodbye, arrivederci, or whatever you would like to say. And after all the tumult is ended, people have said goodbye that are left, we can chat for a little while. So I'm happy to have all of you here. We'll do another one of these probably in October. Haven't set the date yet, and I hope to see you then. So bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Everybody. Thank you.
Dave.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye, Brian.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. So good to see
Bye.
you all. Hey, Robert.